Welcome back. As you know well, the presidential race is going to be very tight, and there is a strong possibility that it takes many days to determine who wins the White House. Now, U.S. intelligence officials are warning that foreign adversaries are going to try to sow doubt about the results. A senior official telling NBC News that foreign actors, including Russia, China, Iran, and Cuba, are going to try to undermine trust in the election process, including by amplifying false claims about ballot tampering and the legitimacy of the elections themselves. And joining me now on set is NBC News Justice and Intelligence Correspondent Ken Dilanian. Ken, we talk about all the efforts by foreign adversaries to try to, muddy up the waters before the election. This is even after the votes have been cast, but you can see that sort of American purgatory as we're waiting for an answer to who won this thing and have these foreign adversaries engaging all this. We know that officials do everything they can to make us aware of this, but what specifically can they do to try to combat this?
There are things that the intelligence community can do that they don't talk about, Peter. For example, you have U.S. Cyber Command and the NSA out there roaming around the internet. They can take down foreign adversary servers secretly. But their biggest mandate really is to get the word out, particularly if there is disinformation that would tend to dissuade people from going to the polls or after the fact, gin up false allegations of fraud. And the problem is, it's not really clear how they're going to do that. I asked the Attorney General at a news conference about a week ago, who's in charge of telling us if a video is fake? And it's not really clear who is. He said it's a whole of government thing. The FBI feels very reticent, particularly when we're talking about Americans spreading disinformation, even if it came from a foreign source. So it's a devil of a problem, and it's not clear that the government has a full handle on it.
And the intelligence officials, as we just talked about, they talk about Russia, China, Iran. They talk about Cuba here. Do they all share a same preferred candidate, a same set of goals, or do they differ?
Interestingly, they do differ. The intelligence community says that Russia definitely prefers Trump and that Iran has a pretty expressed preference that Trump not be elected. China is really just sort of trying to pursue its own interests and playing in state and local races and trying to obfuscate the views of China. But the real issue that they reported on in this most recent thing is, and all three of the adversaries want to destabilize the United States, to sow chaos. And so if there is a big fight about false allegations of fraud, that plays into the hands of all U.S. adversaries. We
talk about the Department of Justice indicting employees of the Russian-controlled media outlet RT, Iranian cyber actors as well. In a lot of ways, I think people here say, isn't that just symbolic? There's nothing you really can do to crack down on these folks. What do they hope to or seek to accomplish by that?
Yeah, so these people are overseas. They're outside the reach of U.S. justice. The main thing they're accomplishing is essentially issuing a press release laying out the facts of what happened there. It's much easier for them to do that in an indictment that goes into court than it is for the CIA or the NSA to declassify their intelligence reporting. So the Attorney General was very frank. I asked him about that as well. He said that is the main purpose of these cases, and they may do more of these because it's the best way to get the information out to the public.
To communicate to the American people, here's what we're doing on your behalf, and here's what you need to be aware of going forward. Ken Dilanian, appreciate your reporting always. Thank you so much.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.